During a Missouri winter that's bone-cracking cold, the wind and ice can't slow the flow of crime.
Every parent's nightmare is that knock at the door in the middle of the night. This nightmare became a reality.
A cold-blooded attack by an especially dangerous killer.
If you're willing to take on an armed, trained officer, what chance do the rest of us have?
You could see it on their faces. These officers had lost a friend.
Pressure was on. We had to find this guy.
And a stunning twist reveals the killer is closer to home than anyone suspected.
What do I call you? They call me Death.
In St. Louis County, Missouri, winter shows no mercy.
When it gets cold and just goes right through you.
Single-digit temperatures for weeks at a time. You could have ice and snow on the roads for days or weeks. It's a very dangerous time of year.
Despite the dangers, most residents love it here. Like 38-year-old Joanne Liskam.
Joanne grew up in the northern part of the city of St. Louis, just your typical St. Louis family. Lived in the city, went to church every Sunday, went to a Catholic school.
She was very outgoing, very friendly. Always had a smile or could make a joke out of anything, basically.
We were 2 months apart. I was born in April, she was born in June. We grew up together, and the family was very, very close. The Christmas holidays, the New Year's holiday, there was always Italian food, homemade. Meatballs from scratch, homemade sauce and everything. It was great.
Joanne follows in several family members' footsteps when she becomes a police officer.
Our Uncle Skip was a police officer. He was basically the inspiration behind all of us later becoming police officers. My 2 brothers were police officers. Joanne was a police officer. She was assigned to the 1st precinct in North St. Louis County, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. She enjoyed being a patrol officer, and she made a lot of friends.
January 11th, 1991. Joanne works alone on the midnight patrol.
It was a slow shift, and she stopped at a convenience store to get a cup of coffee and check on the business.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How's everything going?
Great, thank you. He's all right?
Yeah.
Tonight will not be business as usual.
A lady came in and approached her and told her that there was an individual walking northbound on Halls Ferry Road, and he was acting funny.
It just struck her as this guy being odd, the way he was moving around and stopping and looking and not going anywhere. It seemed to have no directions.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's a terrible night, very cold out. For a person to be out walking, either your car broke down and you're looking for help or there's something else wrong.
Joanne said that she would drive down that way and check into it and see if it was a person that had broken down, needed a ride somewhere, if they were okay. She advised the radio dispatcher she was going to be out, basically that means out of service, at Patricia Ridge and Old Halls Ferry on a suspicious person.
3106 to destination.
And that was the last we heard from her. 10 minutes go by, and she couldn't be reached on the radio. So the dispatchers sent an officer to check on her welfare.
I'm going to check on 3103 at Halls Ferry and Patricia Ridge.
But before backup arrives, a passerby discovers an unusually long flashlight on the icy roadside.
A person looking at this would know that it would be a law enforcement or a police flashlight. It's not something that the normal John Q. citizen is going to carry around just because of its weight, because of its size, its length.
And then
a body laying in the snow. It's a police officer. She's obviously wounded, bleeding.
When the backup officer arrives, he recognizes her. It's Joanne Liskam.
The neighbor, she's down, someone shot her. Attention, all cars have an officer down, Hall Stain, Patricia Ridge, Hall Stain, Patricia Ridge.
Stay right there. All right, okay.
She's unresponsive. She is still breathing. There's blood in the snow all around her. She's incapacitated, can't move. There's an obvious gunshot wound to her left hand, and her head area on the snow is surrounded by blood.
The officer notices an immediate threat.
The suspect took her car. Further on the officer down, and the suspect apparently does have her police car also.
Is her weapon missing? Weapon is missing.
That meant immediately that you got a guy out there with the officer's weapon and a police car, so he could be anywhere at that point.
With her gun and her car being missing, it was very disconcerting. I mean, if this person would pull up in a marked police car, turn on its lights, and a civilian would pull over thinking it was a legitimate police officer, who knows what would happen at that point? Who knows what this person's mindset was? I mean, it would have him put the jump on anybody that he wanted to, thinking, especially at nighttime in the dark hours, where you just see the lights illuminate, you're getting stopped for a reason, and who knows what could happen after that.
A police agency's worst nightmare.
It's like everything just went in slow motion, that nothing could happen fast enough.
Simultaneously, they must save Joanne, find her vehicle, and lock down the area to stop the shooter.
Two cars are on the scene. All other cars to remain out in the area, looking for the vehicle and the suspect.
Joanne was transported to the hospital, took her in, and they did surgery on her.
Word quickly spreads.
I was working in the homicide division with the city police department, and we got a call from the county, and they wanted to know if we could send some detectives out to help them. I couldn't process it. I was like, not Joanne Liskam. It's not Joanne.
As emotions run high, officers get to work.
Crime scene unit was there taking photographs, doing their measurements and seizing evidence. Our detectives were working hard trying to find some evidence that would help us determine what happened.
With the snow on the ground and with the ice covering it, it did inhibit what would typically be evidence collection. Typical, tangible evidence that would be left at a normal crime scene, say during the summertime, this put a camouflage over it.
There was blood on the ice and snow. You know, there was obviously signs of a struggle that had occurred there.
But little else.
The problem we had was that everything was frozen. There's that ice layer on top, and you would not break through that ice layer, so there were no footprints left in the ice.
That's how hard it was. You didn't know what, if anything, would have been under that snow.
Based on Joanne's injuries, investigators try to piece together what happened.
She had suffered 2 gunshot wounds of the head. There was another injury to the back of her head from being struck by that flashlight that was found at the scene.
And now, police must race to catch an assailant who could appear to be one of them.
Could be impersonating an officer. There's a radio in the car, and so anything they're saying, he may be hearing. They don't know if this is a guy who's driving around now acting like the police.
On an icy night in St. Louis County, Missouri, Officer Joann Liskum clings to life after being shot multiple times. Police believe the shooter fled with her weapon and her vehicle. All available officers from several jurisdictions scramble to find the gunman before he vanishes or attacks anyone else.
This person that assaulted Joanne is obviously a violent person, and that violence, could very well extend to other people that he may confront too.
Finally, they spot Joanne's vehicle about a mile from the crime scene.
They got the vehicle.
The car is just parked. It's not abandoned, just up on somebody's lawn, and clearly somebody had run away. It's parked at the curb, the doors are closed, the lights were still on.
They surrounded the car and cautiously approached it, not knowing whether or not there was a suspect in there, whether or not there could be another victim in there. Who knows what was in there?
Looks unoccupied.
It was clearly somebody had pulled it up and parked it right there and then got out of the car and then disappeared.
Footprints in the snow lead away from the car a short distance. Investigators have a new focus in their search for the shooter.
Box off the area. Officers think suspects still in the area. I'm on Old Hallsburg. Get somebody else up here in case this guy's out. We from crossing the road.
Police were theorizing that this is a local. Not only had he been walking in the street when the officer confronted him, but he drove the car a short distance in a residential area, abandoned the car, and then was on foot again.
We were worried that he would be in the neighborhood, either breaking into a home to seek refuge or to hide.
Or to harm someone else.
We have hundreds of police officers doing door-to-door canvasses, checking with the residents.
And we're just wondering if you heard or seen anything suspicious. You hear any gunshots?
Looking in out sheds, looking in detached garages, looking under porches, going through people's backyards, looking in their cars that are parked outside.
This was the largest search in the history of the St. Louis County Police Department. About 200 officers from a dozen departments showed up to help the search.
Their target is an especially severe threat.
Anyone who is going to shoot and attack an armed, uniformed police officer, that individual is a great danger to the general public. You know, if you're willing to take on an armed, uniformed, trained officer, what chance do the rest of us have?
At the hospital, Joanne's family begins a reverent vigil.
I got a call from my brother Ron telling me the bad news. So I got dressed and went to Cushing Northeast Hospital, where the family was already gathering, and Joanne's mom, my Aunt Rosie and Uncle Art were there, and obviously very upset by what had happened. I'll never forget it. It was, the family was there, several police officers from the county, and, you know, basically the doctor said it was just a matter of waiting to see if anything was going to happen.
It's especially difficult for Joanne's parents.
Her parents were independent, but they were getting up in age, and Joanne would see to it that they were taken care of, that they got to their doctor's appointments, went shopping for them, whatever they needed.
Sadly, this isn't her parents' first brush with tragedy.
Her brother passed away at a very young age, so Joanne was the only child. She was always close to her parents, so when she lost her brother, that even bonded them more closely, because she knew the pain that her parents were feeling for the loss of their son, her brother. Every parent's nightmare is that knock at the door in the middle of the night, that something has happened to your child. This nightmare became a reality.
Continuing the investigation, crime scene techs fully processed Joanne's vehicle.
We fingerprinted it, did forensics on it. Nothing out of the ordinary was found in the car that would help us find the suspect.
Which really wasn't all that surprising. They might have picked up, in fact, I do recall, I think they did have her fingerprints in there, which certainly wasn't shocking. Nothing else came out of her car. You know, if, unfortunately, they didn't leave any weapons behind. If gloves are on, it's, cold out, there are gloves on, so it wasn't surprising not to find fingerprints.
The next morning, as the search for the gunman goes on, detectives returned to the scene to look for clues beneath the icy snow.
We took up portable propane heaters up to the area and started melting the ice and snow around where this occurred. Basically, we're looking for any evidence that would have been covered by this blanket of ice. We're looking for, is there a needle in this haystack?
The effort pays off.
With the metal detectors, we were able to recover some bullet projectiles that had been shot and had come to rest within the dirt underneath the snow and ice.
They likely were shots that missed Joanne. Ballistics analysis reveals a scary new detail.
She had been shot by 2 different guns, her own service revolver and then another gun.
Joanne's service revolver is a Smith & Wesson .357. Tests show the second gun is a Colt .38. As details of the shooting spread through the media, motorists on the road that night come forward.
We had 3 or 4 witnesses that had drove by and seen the suspect walking on the roadway before the incident happened. They described him in general as a black male, maybe in 20s to 30s, 6'2" or 6'3", 240, wearing a stocking cap and dark clothing.
Detectives have each motorist sit with a sketch artist.
The composite sketch was so good that one of the motorists said it was eerie. It was so good. It was almost like looking at a photograph of the man that he had seen.
Worried about Officer Joanne, the community issues a reward.
It started at $10,000 and kept getting added to and added to and added to by businesses, by private organizations, by individuals.
Investigators hope the sketch and reward will help them ID the shooter and explain why he would strike.
Joanne would either be stopping someone to help them if they needed help, or if somebody was doing something wrong. She didn't just stop people to be stopping them. So this person was somehow suspicious, or something was going on that was not normal.
It's possible that Joanne could have encountered somebody that was on the run from the police, maybe had an active warrant.
All right, sir, just a couple blocks.
It makes absolutely no sense. For what reason do you want to take somebody's life? What reason do you have to kill a police officer who's trying to do their job? She suffered a wound to her head. She was shot in one of her hands. She was shot twice in the head. What wasn't enough for this guy?
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Family and friends reminisce about Joanne, who'd been so thrilled to be living her lifelong dream of becoming a police officer. Eager to learn all about the police force, Joanne took the first job she could get.
So when she was in her early 20s, she joined the St. Louis County Police Department, first as a records clerk, then as a dispatcher.
Joanne loved her job and the people with whom she worked.
She was a field training officer, which she loved. You have this recruit that just graduated from the police academy sitting next to you in a police car. Now you've got to teach them how to put that book to use on the street. You're helping to formulate that person to become a good police officer.
At the hospital, the vigil continues.
We sat and cried and prayed and hoped for her survival, and some of the officers even showed up in their pajamas. And we're just waiting it out, hoping for the best.
And they share memories of a kind-hearted woman who gave such joy to her family and coworkers.
Joanne was a very lively person. When she came into the room, you knew she was there. You knew that laugh and you knew that voice. And you knew it was going to be a good day.
Very energetic, always willing to help. She would take food to dispatchers who had to work on Christmas.
After 3 days of praying, Joanne's family, friends, and colleagues received devastating news.
It was on the 14th of January, around noontime. We were They're at the intensive care unit still waiting to hear anything. The doctors came in and Joanne was essentially brain dead, and all that was of Joanne was gone. The father just started crying, and he said, take me, pleading to God, and leave Joanne here. The parents' life was over at that moment also. They were totally devastated. We tried to console them the best we could, but it was, I mean, you can imagine, you know, if you have a child or, you know, I have children, you lose your own children. It's probably the worst that could happen to a parent.
The family makes one final decision to honor Joanne's life.
They kept her on life support long enough to harvest her organs, and I believe a young man got her heart, so she's still out there somewhere.
The beloved officer makes tragic history.
St. Louis County Police Department at that time was about 35 years old, and the department had lost maybe a half dozen officers, things like hit-and-run accidents, officers suffering a fatal heart attack while on duty. Joanne Liskam was the first officer in the history of the St. Louis County Police Department to be shot to death while on patrol.
Grief washes over the community as investigators try to track the ice-cold killer who murdered one of their own, then somehow slipped through their net.
They searched so many homes, talked to so many people, but they were coming up empty.
There wasn't a one of us that was going to not do what we could do to find this person that killed Joanne and bring him to justice.
One frigid January in St. Louis County, Missouri, police search for a man seen talking to Officer Joann Liskum on the night she was attacked. The manhunt is massive for the killer of a fallen hero.
So many officers were in that, and it was a large area that they were canvassing, going door to door, setting up checkpoints and stopping every car that came through there.
They don't find the shooter, but the huge police presence does pay off.
Crime really dropped off the charts. It was virtually crime-free during that time because there were so many police in the neighborhood, nobody could do anything if they were inclined to.
Then a much-needed tip from a caller who saw the composite sketch on the news.
The caller called in and said that the composite drawing looks like someone he knows that worked at an auto repair place.
His name, Ralph Myers.
We did a record check, ran him through the system, and we were familiar with him. Had several prior arrests, had been involved in weapons violations, sale of narcotics.
He had been identified, having the sort of background that it could very easily have been him. He was also from the neighborhood.
And he works in the area.
In looking for Ralph Myers, we went to his place of employment, and it turns out that he hadn't shown up to work for the past few days.
Since about the time Joanne was attacked.
He doesn't want to be found by the police. He's not going to be walking down the street in the middle of the night because it's just going to draw attention to himself.
Is he on the run? On an icy morning, over 1,000 mourners gather to lay a beloved officer of the peace to rest.
The county police helicopter was in the air that day, and they reported that, by all estimations, the funeral procession from the church to the cemetery was 4.5 to 5 miles long.
And this was a full police funeral with all the honor and dignity that we could give her and a family for their sacrifice. After all, they had just lost their daughter. Joanne had just given her life in the line of duty.
Chief Patel delivers a touching eulogy about a devoted daughter and a decorated officer.
I spoke to our police family itself and told them we owed it to Joanne to be strong and to persevere, to do our jobs as best we can, you know, that she gave her life for the community and we got to carry on her legacy.
You could see it on their faces. These officers had lost a friend, a colleague. They were resolute. They were determined to find the killer.
Detectives continue their search for Ralph Myers.
So we find out where Ralph Myers is at, we take him into custody, and we bring him into the detective bureau, and we talk to him.
But no direct evidence links him to the murder. More bad news. Still no sign of Joanne's missing .357 or the Colt 38.
If they found one of the guns, they thought for sure that they could find her killer.
We looked everywhere. Drainage ditches, concrete culverts. We looked down storm sewers, removed the sewer lids, looked everywhere we could possibly think of looking where it might be hidden.
After days of searching, nothing. Investigators review Joanne's last calls to dispatch.
3106 pedestrian check.
The radio tapes indicated she was in a hurry to get out of the car, and she seemed in a hurry, and I think she recognized who it was, knew he was a problem person to begin with, and she wanted to get out of the car so she could confront him face to face.
But who is he? The reward money climbs.
Within a day of her being shot, the reward was $10,000. It soon increased to $25,000.
Not surprisingly, tips flood in. But increasing the reward also increases the number of false tips and wild accusations. One name seems promising: Jeremiah Simmons. Eventually, detectives track him down through known accomplices.
Even though a person looks like somebody that you're looking for, they either did it or they didn't do it. How we get to that point, it's by process of, validating their alibi. So he's another individual we contacted, took into custody for questioning relative to this.
He has a solid alibi, and nothing connects him to the murder.
In the first month, they tracked down about 1,500 leads. They got a lot of calls, a lot of tips from people who saw those composite sketches and thought they knew who that man was.
A lot of these we had found out were people calling in because this reward amount was getting so much higher, but it's every one of them we had to check out to eliminate.
The pressure was on. I mean, we had to find this guy. He killed a police officer. He could very well be out there, and there's a definite threat to the community. He had all hands on deck, and we were all in on this. We were going to do the best we could to find this person.
The process is frustratingly slow and leads detectives across state lines to cover all leads.
There was a hobo out of Pittsburgh who was riding a bus, and they talked to him. There was a man who was an asbestos worker from Texas who looked like that composite sketch. They talked to him.
These investigators want justice for one of their own.
We always said from the very beginning, this may take time. We're just going to have to stay the course and do our job.
38 days after Joanne's murder, new information finally gives the case real focus.
We got a telephone call from the county jail from a prisoner up there, Travis Stokes. He wanted to talk to our detectives because he had information related to the murder of Joanne Liskum.
He drops a bombshell.
Stokes indicated he had what might be the gun that killed Joanne Liskum.
So My partner and I went up to the county jail and said, what do you know about this gun? We're not going to let you come down here and talk to us until we know what you have to offer us before we open those cell doors.
So what he was told was, look, you tell us everything you know.
Stokes claims he got a Colt 38 snub-nose revolver from a friend shortly after the shooting. He names the friend as Dennis Blackman Jr. Stokes says he told Blackman he needed a gun for protection, knowing Blackman would want to get rid of it.
His story was that he conned Dennis Jr. out of the gun because he knew that he was wanted by the police and he needed a bargaining chip.
Is Stokes' story another false lead called in for reward money? This one has a shocking twist. Turns out Dennis is the son of a St. Louis Metropolitan Police captain.
That kind of took both our breath away.
In St. Louis County, Missouri, investigators working the officer Joanne Liskam slaying have a frightening new development. A man named Travis Stokes claims the killer could be Dennis Blackman Jr., the son of a police captain. It's unimaginable. The St. Louis police community is like a family. Had one of them gunned down Joanne?
He was the son of a fellow police officer. It was very difficult, I think, for a lot of them to come to grips with that.
Records show the captain reported one of his guns missing before the shooting. It's a Colt 38, the same type used to shoot Joanne.
So when we went up to talk to Travis in the jail, he said that he not only knows about Captain Blackman's gun and had seen Dennis with that gun, but that he currently had it at his house.
But Travis Stokes is in jail and has a criminal record. Is he trying to set up the son of a police captain and grab the reward? They look into Dennis Blackman Jr.
Dennis Blackman Jr., we had learned, had been involved in a sexual assault type case, and that was still pending in court. As a condition of his release on that sexual assault, he was under house arrest with his parents.
Dennis Blackman Jr. lived probably less than a mile from where the crime occurred, where Joann Liskum was killed.
Seems officers actually checked his home the night of the shooting.
Dennis Blackman Jr.'s house was one of the houses that we knocked on the door.
We're canvassing.
Turns out that Dennis Blackman Jr.'s father works for a police department in the metropolitan area and is a ranking officer there. He said his son was at home.
This is before widespread use of electronic ankle monitors. Blackman's house arrest is to be supervised by his parents, one of whom is a cop.
I mean, we're going to take this police captain's word. Everything's okie dokie. Let's move on to the next house.
Blackman was home that night. The same can't be said about the man who's accusing him.
Travis Stokes was not in jail that night, so, potentially he could have been a suspect or an accomplice or something in this.
Is he the guy who did this, or was he there? Does he know more about it than he's telling us? And so those are all real concerns. And so we were not about to make any deals with him until we knew all of that information about it.
So we did get a court order from a judge. Travis was released in our custody. We then took him back to his house, and he told us where the gun was. With him present there, he had it wrapped in a rag on a top shelf in his bedroom closet. He said that's where it was. We opened it up, opened a rag, and here is a Colt 38 snub-nose revolver. All these days and nights and all these leads that we've been going through, we see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not an Amtrak coming at us. I mean, it's something that this is the first positive hit we've gotten since this thing started. After we seize the gun, we take Travis back down to the detective bureau and get a detailed statement from him.
They grill him about the night of the shooting.
And he said that Dennis, who was supposed to have been under house arrest, had called him and wanted to go out, and that Travis was supposed to get a car and pick him up.
But Travis claims he couldn't get a car, so he never showed up. He says he was nowhere near the crime scene. The gun might prove otherwise.
We sent it over to our ballistics, and they determined that that gun, in fact, did forensically match the bullets that were found at the scene where Joanne was shot.
But who fired the fatal shots? Travis Stokes or Dennis Blackman Jr.? One important detail sets the two suspects apart. Dennis fits the general description of the shooter. Travis does not.
Travis's build was probably 5'8", 150 pounds, no facial hair, very small, lean, built individual, just the opposite of what had been described to us. We were able to eliminate Travis and focus solely on Dennis Blackman Jr.
Every bit of evidence that came up kind of circled right back towards him and away from other people.
Everything is fitting together perfectly like a puzzle. It's now all kind of making sense. We get a search warrant and give it to our SWAT team, and we approach Dennis Blackman's house. Knock, knock, we're coming in. They go into the house, and Dennis is downstairs in his bedroom, and his parents were not home at the time, and he's taken into custody without incident.
Everyone is stunned that the son of a police captain could be responsible for Joanne's death.
We couldn't see this coming. Police officers I talked to said, you know, we're ecstatic that we've made an arrest, but it hurts us that this is an officer's son. You know, could have been my son.
It's a very unusual twist. A father or a parent can only do so much to raise their children. What their children get into as they become adults is really up in the air. You do the best that you can. So it's no fault of Captain Blackman's.
A second life term is later added based on a charge of armed criminal action. At the station, police question Dennis Blackman Jr.
All right, Dennis, you know why I wanted to talk to you today?
I have no idea.
I wanted to ask you what
He admits that he was at home at the time. He says his parents were at home the whole time. He said that he heard the sirens going up and down the street, but he was at home the whole time because he's under house arrest. That was his first story.
Okay. What about the gun that was stolen from your dad's car?
We asked him if he knew anything about his father's gun being stolen, and he knew a lot of details about that gun, where it was taken from, even though he didn't admit to having it in his possession at any time. We tell him that we have his father's gun, and it does match the murder weapon, and that Travis says he got it from him, Dennis, after the shooting.
Blackman suddenly changes his tone and his entire personality, claiming he's actually not Dennis Blackman Jr.
Who are we talking to? The better half. Okay, what did I call you? I'm going to be as deaf as they call me deaf.
I've never seen this in my career before. My partner and I just kind of sat back in our chairs and going like, what is going on? Dennis, what's going on? And he came back with, I'm not Dennis, I'm death.
After the murder of Officer Joanne Liskam in St. Louis County, Missouri, homicide detectives interrogate suspect Dennis Blackman Jr. At first, Blackman claims he was home all night. But then, he changes.
He tried selling a story that he has this other personality.
I'm going to be a Dennis. Death.
What do you want me to call you?
I'm going to be as deaf and make call me deaf. It's appropriate.
All of a sudden, he was this very, they look at him, so he had a different look on his face, he had a different manner about him, different tone, became very, he was already very big, but just looked a lot bigger all of a sudden.
Dennis basically took us through the whole scenario of what happened in this third person as this death guy.
Death says Dennis wanted to do some damage that night. So he slipped out of his parents' house. They had no idea. Travis Stokes failed to pick him up, so he just wandered around.
So here's Dennis now walking up Halls Ferry. He's out of his house, he's not supposed to be. He's got his dad, Captain Blackman's stolen gun on him he's not supposed to have. And he's got a police officer that approaches him wanting to know what's going on.
What were you doing then when she saw you?
I was fading back into the shadows.
Death, what did she do? What did she do when she saw you fading back into the shadows?
Death tells us that Dennis was approached by Joanne. Joanne asked him if he's all right, if she can give him a ride anywhere. He said no, he's perfectly fine.
Joanne doesn't see him as a threat. And a routine pedestrian check turns lethal. It's a shockingly abrupt change, like his shift to death during the interrogation.
And that he, from death, Dennis pulled a gun out, his father's stolen gun, and then shot Joanne.
He makes the bizarre claim that the bullets weren't meant for Officer Liskum.
I don't know why that idiot shot her when he was supposed to shot me. That makes me mad. Such incompetence. They kept firing.
Uh-huh. That's the wrong person, you know? I did this, that. Okay. Well, what happened then, Death?
He doesn't know how to shoot the right person.
Okay. What happened to the officer then?
She fell down, and he ran and grabbed her gun. He shot her with it and left in her car.
Blackman abandoned Joanne's vehicle and ran about a half mile to his home. As Death, he theorizes Dennis threw her .357 service revolver into a nearby body of water. That weapon is never recovered.
I only want Dennis dead.
You want Dennis dead?
Yes. He's weak. I've tried to kill this boy time and time again. His luck is just too good.
Why is that?
I hate him. He's too nice. He's still gonna die. It can't be too much.
It's a chilling confession. But his alleged dual personality could just be an attempt to seem insane at trial. Detectives learned Joanne and Dennis Blackman had crossed paths before. She drove him to the station when he was arrested on the earlier unrelated sexual assault charge. But that night on the road, he didn't seem to be doing anything illegal. So she was just going to leave him in peace. He had other plans.
Joanne was always known to be tough under pressure, but in this case, I think she just got overwhelmed by somebody twice her size who not only murdered her, he executed her.
On February 19, 1991, Dennis Blackman Jr. is charged with first-degree murder. After a 13-day trial and 2 days of deliberation, the jury rejects the first-degree murder charge, which carries a possible death sentence. They find him guilty of second-degree murder, and the judge sentences him to life in prison.
I worked in the same building with the suspect's father. We were friends. I was shocked. I mean, what a small world this is, that the son of a police officer who I worked with killed a police officer who was my cousin.
For years after her death, the St. Louis County Police keep a watchful eye over Joanne's mother and father.
It was amazing. The county police rallied around my aunt and uncle from the moment Joanne was shot. They assumed Joanne's responsibility, the responsibilities that she had undertaken when her parents needed her help, realized that, and they took over.
But tragically, Joanne's parents never overcame the devastating loss of their daughter.
I can remember going out to their house to visit them, to visit my Aunt Rosie and Uncle Art, and they never recovered from it. I mean, they were different people. Their life was gone. The one and only daughter they had was taken from them. And they just continued to exist, but they had no life in them anymore. It was hard to look at them. You affect a lot of lives. It's a rippling effect. It was hard on the family. I know it was hard on the county police officers. And I know it impacted the people that lived on the beach he patrolled. They lost a friend. They lost somebody that was looking out for them.
One dark winter night in the Pacific Northwest, a cold-blooded killing shakes an entire city.
I had never seen anything as horrific as this was.
The crime scenes looked like something out of a slasher film.
There was an axe murderer running crazy through the neighborhood.
Police struggle to track a monster.
This was one of the very few times that I was worried about my own home and my own wife's safety.
A monster with one sick pleasure.
Murder. You're kind of smiling about that.
When winter comes to Seattle, Washington, it brings a chill and darkness nothing can penetrate.
Wintertime in Seattle is gray, cold, damp.
A lot of people here get seasonal affective disorder because you get no light, no sun, and people just get pretty depressed because it is so gray.
Longtime resident Geneva McDonald has never let Seattle's dark skies dampen her sunny disposition.
Hi, Geneva, is your friend back? Hey, Michaela, no.
Geneva was a super nice person. She was the person who would say hello when you're walking down the street and pass someone. The kind of neighbor that everybody wants.
She works as a secretary for a shipbuilding company. Though she lives alone since her divorce, she's in constant touch with her daughter.
Hi, Mom.
Hi!
You left the door unlocked, so I let myself in.
Oh, oh, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Her daughter Paula was in her young 20s and she didn't live far away. And she and her mother were very, very close. Geneva had raised Paula essentially by herself, and so there was this real strong mother-daughter bond.
The two share a love of gardening and spend much of the winter preparing their plants and hoping for an early spring thaw.
Gardening was a huge part of Geneva's life. Geneva lived in a large house, and she would store her plants that couldn't tolerate our winters in her basement of her house.
What a lot of us here in Seattle do is we plant our seeds and we keep them inside because it's too cold to plant them outside yet. So she was meticulous about doing this so that she could really tend to her garden once it was time to plant it. So her house was full of pots.
One cold Sunday evening, Geneva is feeling under the weather. She calls work to say she won't be in on Monday.
Well, Monday morning came and went, and of course they didn't hear from Geneva, but then Tuesday morning arrived and still no Geneva. And so the company she worked for, they were concerned.
Her best friend is worried too.
She had a close friend that tried to get a hold of Geneva the night before, and there was no answer on her phone. She became concerned the next day when Geneva still wasn't answering her phone.
The friend knew to go through the back alley where Geneva would normally park her car. And she saw Geneva's car there, and that kind of sent up some antennas, so to speak.
Geneva!
So she went to her back door, and she found that her back door was unlocked.
Geneva, you here? Geneva, you okay? You okay?
And at this point, her friend is starting to get really worried because she just got this feeling that something wasn't right. Her friend isn't there, the door is open. So she walks upstairs.
Geneva? Geneva?
She sees the body in all of this blood. She's completely shocked. So she turns around, she runs out of the room, runs downstairs, out the open door, and she just is looking for help.
Paramedics arrive, but there's nothing they can do to help Geneva now. This is a murder scene.
Policemen see shocking things all the time. And I had seen plenty of blood and gore. I had never seen anything as horrific as this was.
The kind, older woman has been viciously attacked, suffering dozens of wounds to her head and upper body. Her face is utterly obliterated.
It took me a minute to acclimate myself. We've got a crime scene here, we got a job to do.
On the bed are the murder weapons.
When I saw the axe, I thought, wow, I've never really seen an axe used like that before. Geneva had a number of injuries that were horizontal to the face that obviously were inflicted by this fire axe that was laying right alongside of her.
And under the blanket covering the victim.
There were a number of stab wounds into the chest. They weren't bleeding very much. So that would lead me to believe that they were inflicted long after the head wound, and she was dead or nearly dead when those were inflicted. There was also a pair of sewing scissors that were laying on the bed beside her.
It looks like a surprise attack.
That indicated to me that she was probably asleep when the first blow occurred. She didn't have the chance to do anything.
Because there was so much anger and violence to this woman, you immediately start to think that there was somebody close to her that was responsible for this. Usually you don't see strangers killing strangers with that level of violence. And obviously somebody was extremely angry.
In the bathroom, there was evidence that he washed up. There was some brain matter and some blood and I think even some bone in the sink.
On her dresser was an opened jewelry box, and there was a bunch of fake, cheap jewelry. And you could tell somebody had gone through it, and some of it had been left there.
Her purse has also been rummaged through. But other valuables haven't been touched.
Downstairs in her china cabinet, there was all kinds of items, silver spoons, a complete set of silverware, and none of these things were taken.
It's possible the killer just tried to make it look like a robbery. As more investigators swarm the crime scene, word trickles out among Geneva's closest neighbors.
They could not believe that this had happened. They were just in shock, and they were so sad because this is a woman that has lived in this neighborhood for 20 years. She's a part of the community. They love her, and now suddenly she's gone.
Detectives contact her daughter, who rushes over.
Geneva's daughter was extremely close to her mother. It was devastating to her.
And her daughter could not understand why someone would do something so violent and horrific to her mother.
So the evidence text came out, and on the inside door jamb of Mrs. McDonald's bedroom, a palm print was recovered, and that palm print was lifted.
It doesn't belong to Geneva.
It was likely that before walking into her bedroom, I think the killer had stood there and peered around the door frame, and that's who left the print.
Detectives find no sign of forced entry. They believe the scissors were a weapon of opportunity grabbed from Geneva's sewing table. But what about the axe?
You gotta wonder, where did the axe come from? Did the killer bring it with him? Was he a fireman? Did he steal it from somebody's garage? Where did that axe come from?
As techs examine it, they notice something strange.
Detective, this axe has already been processed.
It was odd that the axe was used to begin with, and then you looked at it and you say, well, this has been dusted for fingerprints by somebody, and we hadn't. It was still there.
Why did it already have finger powder on it? That's very unusual. It could have been evidence that maybe had been taken from the police evidence room. Perhaps it had been used in another crime, or maybe it was a fellow cop themselves, a cop gone bad. All these things went through their mind.
Several possibilities emerge here. Did the axe come from a forensic evidence room at a police station? Is it a cop doing this murder, right? Did the killer bring it with him? Where did he get access to an axe with black fingerprint powder on it?
Police have more questions than answers. But one thing they know for sure. Someone savagely murdered Geneva McDonald in her sleep. And that killer is roaming free, looking for the next victim. Everyone in this quiet Seattle neighborhood loved Geneva McDonald, a sweet divorcee who lived alone. So they're stunned to learn she was hacked to death while she slept. An intense murder. Overkill.
Somebody got some pleasure out of it. Somebody's got a personal vendetta against this woman. Who did she anger? Who knew her house well enough?
There's got to be some connection between the offender and this victim, and the investigation should be able to find that.
Detectives question her daughter and ex-husband.
In murders, particularly violent murders like Geneva's, the ex-husband would always be a potential suspect.
He lives just a few blocks away. Easy access to her home.
They have to really seriously consider, did he have motive? Did he stand to profit? Was there revenge? Was he jealous?
Turns out he could not profit from her death. He has a solid alibi for the night she died, and he and Geneva had a good relationship.
Cops are good at reading people, and his reactions to their questions seem reasonable.
They have to consider Paula, too.
Geneva's daughter, as far as we could tell, was the only heir to any property. I mean, that's an expensive home.
Though to detectives, she doesn't seem like a ruthless killer.
Geneva's daughter was devastated. I mean, as you can imagine, anyone whose mother was murdered, you would be so upset. It's hard to believe that someone would come in with an axe and sewing scissors and completely destroy somebody's family.
Geneva's poor daughter. Many of Geneva's friends were very concerned about Paula.
Turns out, there was some tension about Paula's boyfriend.
There had been some arguments there between Geneva and her daughter about the boyfriend. So police also begin looking at her boyfriend, and then it comes to light that even he had had words with Geneva. So they have to wonder, did he do it? Did he get together with Geneva's daughter? Did they have a plan, a premeditated plan to commit this murder?
Police ask Paula's boyfriend to take a polygraph, which he passes.
The investigators gave him a polygraph exam that apparently he didn't do too well on. That doesn't prove that he did anything, and he denied any involvement, and they're stuck with, well, gee, he didn't do so well, but we still don't know.
Investigators expand their interviews to Geneva's friends and acquaintances.
We could find nothing in her relationships with any of her close associates at work. She was well-liked, and we just couldn't find a person that would stand out as somebody that wanted to attack this woman and kill her.
Continuing the crime scene processing, techs find curious clues. Partially eaten food, including a banana. Another bizarre discovery is in the spare bedroom.
On the pillow, we noticed a depression, and there was an unusual looking head hair. Geneva's hair was red, and this was kind of a mixture of brown and gray.
The idea that this person, after inflicting all of this violence on Geneva McDonald, would then have something to eat and then take a nap, this really struck me as being very, very, very odd.
When we realized that the killer had taken a nap, that struck me as being an extremely bold move on their part, not to want to flee right away. That just kind of defies logic.
A very unusual twist. A killer wants to put as much distance between him and the crime scene as possible, but not this killer.
But in such a peaceful neighborhood?
Queen Anne, I would say, is one of the nicest neighborhoods in Seattle. It's a really family-oriented neighborhood, and it's just a place that I think most people consider to be really safe.
Many residents leave their homes unlocked.
Was this a crime of opportunity? Did some criminal, some murderer, just come by and happen to see the door open and take advantage of it?
Yet why the overkill?
You take an axe and you bludgeon somebody to death with that axe, there's a lot of rage going on. So with someone who didn't know Geneva, it doesn't make sense.
Could drugs have been involved? Whoever did this couldn't have been in their right mind.
There was some conjecture among some of the other detectives that this was a crystal meth burglar that just went berserk.
Detectives turn to the murder weapon.
There's a couple of things about the axe that were rolling through my mind. Is it her axe? But then why is there fingerprint powder on it?
Shockingly, they learn that 5 days before the murder, there was another incident in Queen Anne involving an axe.
In that case, A man wakes up, and he lives about 3 blocks or so from Geneva, and sitting in the middle of his living room is, guess what? An axe.
It belongs to the homeowner.
And that was definitely not the place where he had left his axe. The axe was kept in a back porch area. The homeowner was very concerned that somebody had come into his house in the middle of the night.
The man told the responding officer he'd left his back door unlocked the night before. Nothing had been stolen.
The officer, doing his due diligence, used fingerprint powder on the axe handle, gave the axe back to the victim.
The prints belonged to the owner. Homicide detectives re-interview him.
They showed him the axe, and he said, yeah, that's the axe. And I mean, it was pretty identifiable from that fingerprint powder on the handle.
He claims after the incident, he placed the axe back on his porch. Then, the night of Geneva's murder, it went missing.
That axe is the murder weapon. So then you have to look at, did he have a dispute with Geneva? Sometimes neighbors, they can get very, very vicious.
They questioned him very extensively, but he was extremely cooperative, was very strong on and consistent on his stories, and so he was ruled out as a suspect.
There's no way that he could have been at Geneva's that night. And that pushes detectives to one conclusion, that her murder had to be a random crime.
We're thinking that it could have been somebody just prowling the neighborhood and found an opportunity and had a desire to want to kill somebody with an axe.
My thought was that if it isn't somebody from the immediate neighborhood, it's somebody that's through here all the time. Somebody like a paperboy or a delivery person that comes up and down this alleyway all the time.
Police canvass the area.
Have you seen prowlers? Has anybody tried to break into your house? Have you been burglarized? Have you seen strange people that don't belong in this neighborhood? Questions of that nature. And nothing turned up.
A random crime sets the entire neighborhood on edge. This guy is on the loose. He's out there. Nobody can relax because everybody feels like they could be the next victim.
I personally lived in the neighborhood less than a mile away during this time frame. And I can tell you that you were always looking behind you when you got out of the car or you were walking somewhere in the neighborhood.
Word begins to spread around the neighborhood, the community, and they're terrified. An axe murderer is on the loose. Not only did he kill one person, but apparently he left an axe in somebody else's house. Who's next? It's like something out of a horror movie. Axe murderer on the loose. The community, terrified.
Investigators ask the public to call in with information.
That's what you're hoping, is that people will call, but then you get overwhelmed with 400 tips. I saw this shadowy figure walk by my house 5 nights ago. What good does that do us? A lot of those tips, you got to filter through them.
They spend the next several weeks pursuing these leads. Then, late one night, another surprise attack in the very same neighborhood.
Picture this. A couple is staying at a friend's in the neighborhood. And at 4 a.m.,
in the dark chill of Seattle, Washington, police are still investigating the brutal murder of divorced mother Geneva McDonald when another vicious attack occurs in the same upscale neighborhood.
There were a couple that were staying with some friends overnight, and at 4 o'clock in the morning,
the man wakes up to somebody stabbing him with a knife.
And then the stabber turns around and walks away.
The victim survives. All the couple could tell is that it was a white male. Detectives determine he entered through an unlocked back door.
There were other similarities to Geneva's murder. It was just 8 blocks from her house. While it wasn't an axe, it was a knife, a sharp instrument. In law enforcement, there are no coincidences. This could be the same perpetrator.
Random homicides are extremely difficult to solve, so we're not real sure what we're dealing with.
Police fear they are searching for the most dangerous type of murderer. One who strikes simply for the thrill of it.
There's no rhyme or reason for it. Whoever's doing this is not breaking into houses to take things of value. It was obvious to me that these were crimes of opportunity, and there was no doubt in our mind he was going to kill again.
The second crime scene produces no new leads. Authorities hope something from Geneva's house might help ID the attacker.
The best piece of evidence they come up with is a palm print found on a door jamb that leads right to Geneva's bedroom. The only problem with fingerprint evidence and DNA evidence in general is you need something to match it to. And in this case, they have nothing.
The automatic fingerprint system, AFIS, that was kind of in its infancy back then, it didn't really do much with palm prints. To identify the unknown offender just from a palm print couldn't be done.
Investigators reach out to their criminal informants.
Those are those guys and gals on the street who are looking to give up information and maybe get something from cops. But in this case, as cops go out and contact all their informants, they get nothing.
If this person that was committing these crimes and they were doing it for profit, the word would get out on the street because they're going to try to unload stuff. Well, nothing's taken. You start feeling kind of powerless. This is a huge case. Our whole office is feeling pressure. Each one of these incidents, as it occurred, we're thinking, are we getting any closer? Is a guy going to leave something there for us? And there was nothing.
Geneva's daughter is desperate for answers.
It's one thing to lose a parent, which is really hard for anyone, but to have your mom brutally murdered and not even know who did it, her daughter could just not find any peace.
She'd been raised in that home. Her mother was a good person, and to have anything like this happen to her mom really shook her up, hurt her greatly, and there's no way you can make that go away until we resolved it.
A twisted mind is somewhere nearby. His thirst for violence unquenched, the tension inside him rising, reaching the point where he must have more. As the search continues, so does the crime spree. A noise outside wakes a resident in what will be the third incident in Geneva's neighborhood.
She looked out and saw somebody peering in the window.
She wakes her brother for help.
It's pretty amazing when you think about what happens here. He gets out of bed, he goes outside to where an axe murderer might be.
Armed only with a camera.
Hey! What's up?
Once again, the prowler vanishes into the cold night air. The brother rushes his film to police. The photos are blurry, but they are something.
The man wore glasses, had kind of an odd personal look about him, different kind of a facial expression.
Could he be Geneva's killer?
It wasn't like he was standing there with an axe.
But we do have a photograph now of somebody. Can we identify who this guy is?
When you look at all three of these crimes, there was no revenge, no jealousy, no lust. He was just out there looking for potential victims. What could be more scary?
Detectives put together a profile.
He's a prowler and pretty good at it, but he's also regular. Keeps a route coming up and down the same streets, even though there was a lot of police presence there. In the middle of the night, he sort of blends in. probably just kind of disappeared.
Making him almost impossible to find. Several nights later, a couple in the neighborhood bolts awake. They hear something.
They started looking around in the house, and the wife heard what appeared to be somebody in their basement.
She noticed a man down there.
The dog had basically cornered the intruder in the house.
So the woman races up the stairs and slams the door closed.
Locked the door, yelled out to her husband to call 911.
And he's saying, we've caught the axe murderer. We have the axe murderer. Come.
After the slaying of Geneva McDonald in her Seattle home and several other nighttime attacks, a couple in the same neighborhood thinks they've trapped the killer in their basement.
Here you have the same MO. A man enters a home in the Queen Anne neighborhood. His crimes have been escalating, more frequent and more brazen. But he's also getting sloppier, and it looks like police have finally caught up to him.
Police officers, you in the basement. Getting ready to open the door. You down there. Any sudden movements, you will be shot. Keep your hands up. Face away from me. Face away from me right now.
The intruder's carrying a 7-inch knife.
Burglars don't generally carry weapons. They're there to grab your stuff and get out of there as quick as possible. So this guy has a knife, and a pretty damn big one at that. That means he's not there to burglarize. He's there to commit violence.
Officers determine he entered through an unlocked basement window.
A little different than what happened in the McDonald house and the other house where the assault occurred, but close enough.
His name, Stephen Ramirez. He's charged with second-degree burglary for now.
It certainly caused some excitement in the unit that we have him. Now, does he match up in any kind of provable way to that earlier crime?
Detectives compare him to their photo.
The photograph, it did have some resemblance to this young man that was in the house, but you couldn't say for sure or not.
As dawn breaks in Queen Anne, the good news quickly spreads.
Word passed from person to person about, oh, somebody's finally been arrested. So that calmed the neighborhood down. There was a sense of relief.
Investigators grill Ramirez.
What were you doing in that basement?
The window was open, and I thought I could get in and get out with something valuable.
So why the knife?
They questioned him strongly about his involvement in the McDonald murder, and he denied it. The guy was adamant that he wasn't the one.
I didn't have anything to do with that.
You know, it's pretty rare that someone's gonna come in, a light's gonna be shined in their face, and they're gonna confess right off the bat to murder. So the fact that Ramirez is saying, well, I didn't do it, I'm innocent, means nothing to cops.
They send his prints to the lab.
So at this point, it's a waiting game, because they have a palm print. And if the palm print matches Ramirez, they got their guy. It's over.
While Ramirez sits in jail, another home break-in. This is far from over.
The living room was ransacked, and on the wall, one of the living room walls was written, "The killer is back." 2 X's were put on some of the chairs in the living room, 2 large X's that were made with a felt tip pen, and the same pen was used to write "The killer is back" on the walls.
The killer could be marking his next target. or taunting investigators. Whoever broke in also left a calling card in the form of an axe. Turns out it was the homeowners, taken from their woodpile. Police don't know if it's the real axe murderer or a copycat.
This case received a tremendous amount of media attention. And anytime there's a high-profile case in the news like this, you have a lot of people coming forward and they want to draw attention to themselves and get that moment in the spotlight.
Then, investigators discover another clue left behind: a half-eaten banana.
The banana piece of Geneva's crime scene had never been made public. Cops kept that. Cops like to keep things for this reason alone. They know this is no copycat. They know they got their killer.
Stephen Ramirez cannot be that man.
Mr. Ramirez was still behind jail walls, so it was obvious that he was not the killer that they were looking for. He was just another guy passing through, so to speak, who happened to commit a crime in the same neighborhood.
It seemed to me that the offender wanted us, the police, to know that we had the wrong guy, that he was still around, and that whatever we were doing, we hadn't found him yet.
It was frustrating, extremely frustrating. We're sworn to protect the public. Well, we're not doing our job very well.
This was one of the very few times that I was worried about my own home and my own wife's safety. I told her that she needed to lock the doors. It wasn't a good time, and the longer it went on, the worse it got.
X's on chairs, leaving notes on walls. He's taunting the police. It's like something out of a Hollywood slasher film, a real thriller. And even cops are scared. This is pretty damn creepy stuff.
Geneva's family is constantly reminded that this killer has not been caught. Police are still investigating this as an open murder, and so Geneva's daughter can't even let her wounds start to heal.
Investigators process the latest crime scene.
That entire home would have been scoured for everything from hairs, fibers, other fingerprints.
There are no usable prints on the axe left behind. But techs do find latent prints on a pane of glass leading to the dining room. A finger and a palm.
The fingerprint technician that had been doing all of the examination for the prints in the McDonald house was the same one that was looking at those and said, that's the same palm detail.
Investigators run the sole fingerprint through the national database. After weeks of citywide fear of an axe-wielding maniac, police finally get a solid lead on who he might be. The fingerprint belongs to 36-year-old James Cushing, who has a record for arson.
He was living in a group home in Bellingham, Washington, and he became angry and frustrated and started a fire. And he'd been arrested for arson. And that's how his prints got in the system.
Investigators compare Cushing's print with the palm print found in Geneva's home. It's a match.
We were ecstatic. Finally, we've got this individual.
But where is he?
He had been in Western State, one of our local mental hospitals, several times, in and out and released.
We're able to start getting those records together, so we know we're dealing with a guy who's got some mental issues.
He hadn't followed up on his care and is out there, unmedicated, untreated. Investigators learn his mother lives in West Seattle.
The mother tells a story of a son with this extremely violent temper. I mean, the guy was just filled with volcanic rage.
And she did tell me that he was obsessed with the made-for-TV movie Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden is the infamous, really, woman in Fall River, Massachusetts, who killed her mother and stepfather with an axe. That's exactly what happened to Geneva. Everything begins to make sense now.
She tells investigators about the last time she saw him, just days before Geneva's slaying.
She convinced Jim to come and stay with her, get cleaned up, get some food in him.
Later that night,
she woke up to him standing naked over her and carving the outline of her body in the mattress of her bed. And then she hopped up and screamed and ran out of the room.
in the living room, she saw he'd done some organizing.
He had taken every sharp instrument in the house, screwdrivers, knives, and laid them out in sequential order on the couch.
He left that night without hurting her.
She tells police that he's basically homeless, living as a transient on the streets of Seattle. So finding Jim Cushing becomes a problem.
As that afternoon and evening wore on, my concern got greater and greater that this guy really is dangerous and he's likely to offend right now. So we've got to find him.
And when they do, his story will shock everyone.
When I get excited, look out. That's when I get out of control. Put that over my head and just went wham!
After the axe murder of Geneva McDonald, a slashing attack on a couple a few streets away, and a string of bizarre break-ins, Seattle police identify transient James Cushing as their prime suspect. All available officers mobilize for the search, and detectives reach out to homeless shelters.
We knew he was most likely in the downtown area. And from talking from the director of the emergency housing, he said he liked to hang out at a certain restaurant.
Police lie in wait.
I was really shocked when I met Mr. Cushing for the first time. Just his overall demeanor. I thought, this guy's a killer.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut this door. Oh, yes. Jack, is the tape on?
After all the mystery, Cushing actually seems eager to confess.
They don't lock the door, so you just walk in. You don't even have to break a window. They leave the axe right out in the open.
He tells them about the night he killed Geneva McDonald. After wandering around Queen Anne, he stopped by the house he broke into before. He saw the familiar axe back outside, so he took it. He slinked down alleyways, checking doors. Geneva's was unlocked.
Jim, yeah, what made you pick Geneva's house? I don't know, it just was there. Looked around. I didn't close it.
What'd you have with you to look around with?
Well, I had the axe.
She'd done nothing to harm him. He didn't even know her. Yet he attacked without mercy.
When you went into Geneva's through the back door, what did you do once you were in there, Jim?
Walked upstairs, I took the axe. I think she rolled over, I don't know. I just said, Jesus Christ, I got excited. I just took that over my head and just went wham!
What side of the bed were you?
This side. She was on this side. She rolled over and hit her right in the face. Right with the axe. About 4 or 5 times until the blood started coming out.
Where did it start coming out on?
Her face.
Could you see it?
Oh yeah. I killed her.
But after you hit her with the axe, did you do anything else to her?
Try to stab her with the scissors.
How'd you do that?
Yeah.
Like that? Why did you stab her with the scissors?
Just to make sure she was dead or something. But I guess she was.
After the murder, he ate some cereal and fruit. Then took a nap in the guest room across the hall from Geneva's dead body.
I think finally, for the first time of his life, he was the center of attention. And I think he really enjoyed that. Everybody's focused on you, and you're going to be on camera.
What was the big thing we talked about, though, Jim?
Murder.
You're kind of smiling about that, Jim. Which murder were we talking about?
That one lady.
Is that Geneva?
Yeah.
Did the voices tell you to go in to start with? Now, we talked about the voices before.
Yeah, sometimes I can really hear them, and sometimes they're always in my head.
On that night, were there voices in your head?
They were always there. They never leave.
What were the voices telling you to do that night?
Kill.
He also confesses to the knife attack on the couple.
I was up on Queen Anne. I just opened up the door and walked in and stabbed him.
Were you trying to kill him?
He was screaming.
What was he screaming?
Blood.
Are those the only people that you heard?
Yeah.
They ask him about the other break-ins.
Are there others where you've been close and for some reason you didn't do it?
Yeah.
Why didn't you when you
I don't know. How do you feel right now? Calm. Pretty calm. But when I get excited, look out. That's when I get out of control.
Investigators do not think he's crazy at all.
In order to have a mental defense, you have to prove that the person that committed the crime didn't know what they were doing was wrong. And Jim definitely knew the difference between right and wrong.
Prosecutors charged James Cushing with 1 count of attempted burglary, 2 counts of burglary, attempted murder, and aggravated first-degree murder.
The trial judge and also the jury, they felt that he was not criminally insane, that he was able to be held responsible for what he had done.
On March 8, 1991, the jury sentences him to life in prison without parole. But the conviction doesn't bring closure to Geneva's daughter.
Her mother's death devastated her, and she was never the same again. She was under a doctor's care. And within 4 years, at age 29, Paula died.
Paula's broken heart was too much to bear.
It's just so sad and tragic that this family is just gone.
The idea that this one little guy could cause all of that damage and all of that fear is hard to believe.
He didn't look like he could be a threat to anybody. You know, at the end of Psycho, when Bates is sitting in the corner and the fly lands on his hand, well, that's what I kind of thought about him. He didn't appear to be a threatening individual. But to create that kind of fear in a city of 500,000 people, if you want to define an ice-cold killer, That innocuous little man that's on that videotape is an ice-cold killer. If he got out, no doubt in my mind he'd do it again.
Days before Christmas, a nightmare unfolds.
Car on fire, smoke pouring out the windows. There's a body inside.
We didn't know if it was smoke inhalation or if she'd been shot. We had no idea.
The family of a vibrant young woman is left wondering in agony.
I said, you know what happened. You know what's going on.
We were very concerned that there could be another victim, and we needed to find that child.
A chilling case where everyone is a suspect.
Could it have been him?
When people were pointing the finger at me, man, it blew my mind.
So who was the last person to see her alive?
Could the answer lie in surveillance video taken moments before the murder?
She says a few things, she gets into her car, and she drives away.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota, winters are harsh and seemingly unending.
It gets extremely cold. We get a lot of snow. There's some months where it doesn't get above zero. It's 10 below, 20 below. Very cold.
Winter up here ends up being 6 months. You go from November to April. That's long and dark.
But folks always find a way to brighten the long winter. As Christmas approaches, the Minneapolis suburb of St. Paul Park looks like a dreamy winter wonderland. Deborah Tilson has her own favorite tradition, the annual holiday cookie exchange.
Christmas was a big deal at our house. Money's always been kind of hard, and so we would bake a lot of things for our family and friends, and they loved it. They expected it because it was something they didn't have to do then for entertainment's sake.
Deborah especially enjoys sharing that tradition with her 19-year-old daughter, Christine.
Cookie baking was always our big deal, and she would sit down at the table and everything would be spread out in front of us, and there'd be frosting and sprinkles and laughter and giggles and sugar overload all over the place. Cute, really cute.
But this year, she preps her ingredients, waiting for her daughter Christine to arrive.
How are those cookies coming? I'm getting ready to cut them out right now. I saw her at around 1 o'clock. I said to her, now you've been promising me, for 3 days you're gonna be home to do these. Now are you gonna be home? And she said, yes, I'm gonna be here to make them.
Christine is a busy single mom who manages to juggle parenthood, work, and lots of friends. At times, she spreads herself too thin, but she always calls when she's running late.
You know what? She promised me that she would be here this afternoon when I spoke to her, and she hasn't shown up yet.
Don't worry about it. She's just hanging out with her friend.
Deborah's wondering where she is. She wants to call her on her cell phone, but realizes, I can't. Why? Because Christine gave her cell phone to a friend.
Do you know what? I'm gonna call Zach, just to make sure.
Instead, she calls Christine's ex-boyfriend, Zachary Matthews.
Hello?
Zach, this is Deborah. I was wondering if you'd seen Christine.
No, I haven't.
She was supposed to be here this afternoon?
I've actually been wondering where she is as well.
I said, Zachary, this isn't like Christine to just go missing.
Well, if you hear from her, will you please give us a call and let us know?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I told him, I said, well, you need to call me as soon as you hear from her. I'm going to leave my phone on. It's fully charged. I don't care what time of night it is. Call me.
We don't know where she is.
She'll be home shortly. Just take a deep breath. She'll be okay.
As the evening wears on, Deborah can't believe Christine still has not called her.
My first thought was, did she run out of gas? That girl was always all about running her gas tank down to fumes.
But she does her best to put those fears aside.
We really just went to bed thinking she'll call in the morning or she'll be here when we wake up.
While Deborah and her husband sleep, a woman in Minneapolis makes a horrifying discovery.
As she approached the car, she could smell something smoldering or something had been burning. She thought, somebody had been smoking dope or something.
Please help! There's a car on fire!
Okay.
Go!
As the smoke begins to clear, they're both looking at the car, and what do they see inside? A body.
They pulled the victim out of the back seat, and then he kind of sprayed down the area a little bit.
Investigators from the Minneapolis Police Department arrive on the scene.
When I arrived at probably a half hour after the call, I saw the victim laying on the ground. She appeared to be early 20s, mid-20s. She was dressed, top and pants on, but that was it.
Detectives notice something unusual. Her shoes are missing, and she is not wearing a coat.
My thought was that she had been killed somewhere else and brought there. Your first thought is, did she live nearby? Did the suspect live nearby? Usually, that would be the case.
But in this neighborhood, crime is the exception rather than the rule.
A lot of the homeowners are, I guess I would classify them as yuppies. It's a good neighborhood. In all my years in homicide, I've never had a homicide in that area.
The only person who's seen anything is the woman who found the car.
The 911 caller had told us the car wasn't there before 6 p.m., and she called about 8 p.m., so it happened from 6 to 8 p.m.
Inside the car, they find a purse which contains a credit card belonging to Christine Larson. A check on the license plate shows the car is registered to Deborah Tilson of St. Paul Park, Christine's mother. Crime scene techs search through the car and find a partially burned phone book.
When you see partially burned papers in the back seat, partially burned telephone book, it told me that whoever did this probably used whatever was available to them. They didn't plan, get another accelerant like gasoline.
The coroner arrives and performs a cursory examination of the body.
He finds hematomas in the eyes. Number one, that means strangulation. He finds a ligature mark around her neck, which indicates some type of strangulation with maybe a cord or something else.
Investigators suddenly notice something in the car that suggests they may have a second victim.
Might possibly have a missing child.
There was a car seat in the back seat of the vehicle, and my first thought upon seeing that is that obviously the person that had the car had a child also.
Well, that raises many questions. A, where is the child? B, whose child is it? The victim's or maybe the killer's?
We were very concerned that there could be another victim, and we needed to find that child.
On a frigid December night, 6 days before Christmas, Minneapolis police are investigating the murder of Christine Larson, who was found inside a burning car. Adding to the sense of urgency is an empty car seat found inside.
When we saw the baby seat, we started to feel that there could be another victim. We weren't sure at that point if it was the victim's child or not.
Please call that in. We might have some reports of a missing infant or a missing baby.
They have to call dispatch. They gotta get word out immediately that there could be a suspect in a murder out there traveling with a young child.
While investigators are looking for the perpetrator, officers are sent to notify Deborah Tilson that her daughter has been murdered.
It was around 3 in the morning. We knocked on the door. You know, we're armed, of course, and but you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess we have the element of surprise. We asked her if she owned this car. She said that it was her daughter Christine's car. So at that point, we knew that Christine was our victim and that this was the mother of the victim.
We found the body of a young girl in the back of a burning car, and the ID matched a Christine Larson.
She started to scream and cry. Her husband was trying to console her, put his arm around her.
They told us both, and it was, you know, it was a shock. Every parent's worst nightmare, and the first words out of my mouth were, I want to see her face one more time again.
News of the tragedy brings a flood of joyful memories of her youngest daughter.
She was just my little cherub baby. She always looked like a little Buddha. She had just a huge smile, bright, sparkly personality. I always say, you know, I wasn't the only one that lost a child. Her brothers and sisters did as well, because they were like little mothers and fathers to her.
She had a smile that I would call a 1,000,000-watt smile. Like, it lit up a room, it lit up her entire face, and you couldn't help, when you were around her, seeing that smile, to smile yourself.
Christine was extremely outgoing, making friends wherever she went.
She loved to be around people. She would find any excuse she could to create a gathering, to have people around.
She was a spitfire. She would do everything and anything to have all the attention focus on her, which wasn't hard because she was so gregarious and so accepting and loving.
While she did well in school, her academic career was sidetracked by an early pregnancy.
She ended up getting pregnant at 17, giving birth, and going into schools and talking to girls about, you know, it's probably not the way you want to go.
But Christine fully embraced motherhood and her young son.
It was hard. She wasn't afraid to ask any of us for help or to let us know that she was struggling, but she loved everything about it. She was a great mom. He was her world.
Detectives are now desperate to find Christine's son.
So they asked Deborah, can you call the baby's father and find out if he has the child?
Miss Tilson, do you know where Zach might be?
He's at his place with Darian.
Do you know if the child is okay?
Well, sure, he's with his father.
We were relieved in that sense that the child was okay. We started to ask them about Christine, where she was that day.
She was going to come to the house to make Christmas cookies.
Do you think that Zach might have had anything to do with this? Is there any chance?
No, I mean, Zach is part of our family. So, Zachary, how did you two meet?
School. Yeah, high school.
Yeah.
I had a crush on her.
Do you have any family in the area?
He had told Christine that he had no family nearby, and it was looking at winter. And being a school bus driver, you know, we had a spare room, so, you know, we said, well, how about if he lives with us? And that young man was amazing.
Shortly thereafter, a romance between Christine and Zachary blossomed, and Christine soon found herself pregnant.
When Christine became pregnant, I was very concerned, and she was really upset with herself, real hard on herself. But, you know, we sat down and we talked through, and she's like, yes, you know, I'm going to keep the baby. And Zachary was very giddy, very excited. I truly believe that Zachary actually just wanted to adopt our family for his own.
Although the romance eventually faded, Zachary remained close to the Tilson family, co-parenting his son with Christine.
Zachary just fit into our family. I mean, he kind of just warmed his way into everybody's hearts.
I know, he's silly.
We asked, does she have any enemies that she's feuding with? Is she in any gang association? Is she, afraid of anybody?
Deborah admits she was very upset with Christine's friend, Marcella, and believed she knew where her daughter had disappeared to the day before.
We knew that Marcel had left the house with Christine at around 1 to 2 p.m. So since she was the last person known to be with Christine, we needed to find her.
There was that element of, okay, she was the last person that was with her, so she's got to know something. I think all of us were questioning what she knew and thinking that she was covering for something.
Minneapolis police detectives investigating the death of 19-year-old Christine Larson are looking into those closest to her, hoping to find something to point to her killer. They turn their attention to the person who last saw Christine alive, her friend Marcella.
I woke up to a phone call from a mutual friend of us, and he told me that Christine passed away. And I didn't believe him at first, because it just sounded just too crazy. I called her mom's, and I said, I just asked him, like, what's going on? And he said, Christine was... He confirmed that she had passed away.
The family has already been pressuring Marcella for information.
She was with the victim. That's all we knew at that point.
After everything happened, her mom called me, just yelling at me and screaming at me and like, oh, you are always out with Christine and all these allegations and stuff that wasn't even true. It sounded like she was like blaming me in a way.
I decided to talk to Marcella about, what was going on. If she knew why Christine was being so quiet and so secretive and staying away from the house the last 3 and 4 days. And I got a little irate with her and I said, you know what happened? You know what's going on? Where is she? And she swore up and down she knew nothing about it. And, Marcella said, no, really, Deb, she just dropped me off and she left to go get her son.
Now, police want the full story of the day Christine was killed.
Christine was actually looking for a job, so I convinced my manager to, give her an application, and then she got an interview right away so that we could work together.
After the interview, the two friends go back to Marcella's house so she could shower and get ready for work.
She was going to take them to Toys for Tots or something like that Zach had set up, I think, previously.
Marcella said she didn't speak to Christine again after she left the gas station.
Marcella told us that Christine had brought her to work at the Super America, and it was obvious they had cameras both inside and out. So we talked to the manager about getting copies of those tapes.
Shows that she was there from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. One of the other things it shows is that Christine had visited her at work that day.
We saw her come into the Super America with Marcella. She says a few things. She gets into her car and she drives away. She's alone in her car as she's driving away. And there's no car following her.
They ask Marcella if she knows of anyone who might have been responsible for Christine's death.
That somebody actually took her life was really hard to fathom because she was such a good person and so nice and so helpful. And I told him if it would have been anybody, it probably would have been her baby's dad, Zach.
Marcella says Christine and Zachary's relationship had its ups and downs.
He would go and hang out with his friends, or I think that she was thinking that he was cheating on her. She found like pictures or text messages or something that kind of led her to believe that, he was having, talking to somebody else.
Something's come up. I'm sorry, I have to go.
What?
I'm sorry.
Again?
Christine ultimately breaks up with Zachary, moves back home, and enrolls in bartending classes. This seemed to motivate Zachary to get his own life on track. Christine's mother assumes that both are moving on with their lives. Marcella is not so sure.
I noticed him trying to do little things, always trying to tell her that he misses her and that he loved her and stuff.
Zach, no, I cannot deal with this. Zach.
And I kind of questioned, I'm like, you know, like, Christine, like, what's going on? Like, he's really trying, you know, why don't you want to get back with him?
At that point, it's a possibility that Zach might have been involved, but you know, there were so many possibilities yet that we had to work through before we could decide one way or the other who the suspect was.
Detectives tracked down Zachary, Christine's ex, and the father of her child.
Zach, can you tell us everything that happened that day from the first thing in the morning to the end of the evening?
We were supposed to take our son out.
He said she was supposed to come over to his place and take him and their child to a Christmas party in downtown St. Paul. And she was supposed to be there around 2 to 3 p.m. He said she never showed up. He never heard from her. So he went to the Christmas party with the child by the bus.
Zachary tells him, look, you know, I spoke to my social worker that day. I had a conversation for several minutes. I mean, you can verify that. Just give the social worker a call.
We found his social worker, and he told us that Zach was there with his child, and that, you know, Zach was had gotten his Christmas presents for the child. And he said that Zach was a nice guy, a mellow guy, that kind of thing.
I took pictures of us on the bus that day.
Zachary can even verify his presence on the bus that afternoon.
That's your proof.
He said, I took our little guy on the bus and we went down to this toy drive that we qualified for. And I said, well, that's nice. I said, you know, make sure you keep him warm, you know, make sure, you know, he's got mittens and whatnot on. He goes, well, I sent you a text picture of him. And so then I went back and I looked at my phone because I had turned it off, and there was the picture of him.
But detectives have to ask him about Marcella's allegations.
Zachary told us that he was upset about, you know, the breakup. He said that he was happy for her. He was glad that she was moving on. We asked him if he had hurt Christine, and he said no, he loved her.
Right now, with Zachary and everything lining up, they're pretty close to excluding him from this investigation.
One of Christine's friends goes to police with some information that sends the case in a new direction.
She said that Christine had was starting to see a new guy. Derek is his name. She thought he had went to jail once before for something. She said that he had a girlfriend that he was living with, and that Christine had concerns about that. Derek could be involved in Christine's death, or maybe his girlfriend, his baby's mom, might be involved in the death too. Could be a love triangle gone bad.
Jealousy can come into play here. And what happens with jealousy sometimes is it turns into what? It turns into rage. And what does rage turn into? Rage turns into violence.
But what the friend says next really raises red flags for detectives.
And started talking to her. She wasn't expecting to see him.
When you hear that he runs into her randomly, thoughts kind of run through your head. I thought it was a weird coincidence.
That would make Derek perhaps the last person to see her alive. And usually the last person they're with is a person that killed her.
The murder of 19-year-old Christine Larson sends detectives chasing a trail of false leads. But they finally believe they are zeroing in on her killer.
Christine had bumped into Derek that afternoon in St. Paul. You know, it's a few miles from where she lives, so. That's unusual in itself, that he would just run into her. You know, it might have just been a coincidence, but, you know, I don't believe in coincidence. Also, if he did run into her, He would be the last person that we know of that Christine had seen when she was alive. So he would be a very good suspect at that point.
Investigators are now desperate to talk to Derek.
Hello, I'm Detective Zimmerman. This is Detective Johnson. We're looking for Derek. He called out today.
The problem is, no one has seen him.
Derek didn't show up for work that day. None of the friends had heard from Derek. She thought that Derek might be on the run.
I think naturally, because their relationship was so new, that's where our minds went. Could it have been him? I remember hearing something about his ex-girlfriend. Was she somehow involved? Was it something about him getting back together with her?
Christine's friend has given detectives Derek's cell phone number. But each time they call, it rolls right into voicemail.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We think that he is, hiding out from the police at that point. We are, pulling out all stops to locate Derek.
As police do that, Christine's family holds a memorial service for her. The response is overwhelming.
There were a ridiculous amount of people. I remember hearing that they ran out of parking. People were parking blocks away to come to the memorial service.
She had so many friends and teachers and mentors and acquaintances. There was no room for everybody inside the funeral home. People were waiting outside to get in to say goodbye to her.
Zachary is distraught at Christine's death.
He cried. He laid on the floor and just broke down and said he couldn't figure out, why anybody would do that to her.
But the rest of the family does their best to comfort Zachary and each other.
It was amazing. I still to this day had no idea that young woman touched so many hearts.
Look, Derek, we really need to know.
Investigators finally manage to track down Derek, who agrees to come to the police station for an interview. He appears to be upset.
He was grieving the death of Christine, and he felt terrible about it, according to him. And so that was his reason for basically, dropping out for a while.
According to Derek, he and Christine had only been seeing each other for a few weeks.
She was amazing, bro. I mean, if you can imagine an angel falling from the skies and she's always happy, she was just a beautiful, lovely person.
While Derek was courting Christine, he was ending another relationship at the same time.
She found out, and when she did, all my things were packed when I came home from work, sitting by the front door. She basically is like, get out, I don't want to see you again.
Derek moves in with his brother and says he and Christine started talking about sharing an apartment with a couple of friends. When asked when he last saw her, he tells detectives he happened to run into her the afternoon she was killed.
We need to find out what he meant by running into her. Did he just see her? Did he talk to her? Did he kill her?
So all I did, I pulled up, go to the Chinese food place.
Christine's car passes right by me. I look, I'm like, is that Christine? But she always had like a baseball cap in the back of her car. So I look, and it was her. So I turn and, go alongside of her. When I pulled up alongside of her, she was caught at the light. And I kind of pulled up, and I'm, waving like, hey, hey. She rolled down the window, we kind of exchanged words. She was like, I'll give you a call, once I get home, and, we'll talk.
Oh, great. Okay, well, I'll call you later.
And then, we went our separate ways.
By coincidence, Derek says, I was going to my favorite Chinese food restaurant, and I ran into Christine along the way. If I'm a cop and I'm looking at that, I'm like, what, just a coincidence? You happened to run into the girl on the day she was murdered? I don't know about that, Derek.
just kind of just stayed home and waited for that call. And I didn't get a call back. Then the next morning is when my cousin called and told me about it, that she was murdered.
I know she's gone the whole town. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
He said that he truly cared about Christine, that he loved her, and he came across as very believable.
But detectives still need proof before they clear him from the suspect list.
From what the detectives were saying, in most cases like this, it is somebody that knows the victim. It's not a complete stranger. Of all the things, you know, to bump into him, you know, more than 15 minutes from the house, that was crazy. I just couldn't believe it.
We asked him for the cell phone that he's using, and we have Zach's number, we have Derek's number, and so we start a tower search, which is triangulation of where the phones were at. The times that Christine was missing from, approximately 2 p.m. Until she was found at 8 p.m.
3 days later, they get that information, and it blows the case wide open. Police investigating the murder of Christine Larson have been tracking her new boyfriend, Derek, and Zachary, the father of her child. They hope that cell phone records will finally tell the story of what happened and who she was with on the day she was killed.
And what they find was Derek was at home, that his cell phone was pinging off towers far, far away from that crime scene.
It matches to what he told us of never leaving that area that night.
Zach, can you tell us everything that happened that day from the first thing in the morning to the end?
But the records from Zachary's phone tell a completely different story.
Zachary's cell phone records show him at his apartment in the first part of the afternoon, and then going toward downtown, which is where the Christmas party was at.
So you and your boy get on the bus to go down to the Christmas thing?
Yeah, it was roughly around 3 o'clock. Okay. Got there around 4.
Then it shows him coming back toward his apartment. And then it shows something unusual after that, something he didn't tell us. It shows him hitting towers along the freeway going westbound from St. Paul toward Minneapolis.
That's that. That's my story.
Investigators believe they've found their killer.
Police, search warrant!
They obtain a warrant to search Zachary's apartment for any evidence.
Clear!
Inside, they find a stack of phone books that match the one found in the burned car. The kitchen holds something unusual.
In the sink was a thick glass vase with a very heavy bottom on it that it had been cleaned. And I wondered why you have a vase in your sink, that had been washed off. It's a little unusual.
In the bedroom is even more incriminating evidence.
Yeah, I got blood on the sheets.
There was blood on the sheets, and on the comforter, there appeared to be blood.
Then, detectives find something that suggests a motive.
It was like a 3-page letter, and it was written in a way that you would think a manifesto would be written, expressing his love and his devotion to Christine and how she had done him wrong in the past, but he had forgiven her, how he loved her, and certainly didn't match to what he had told us about being glad that she was moving on.
All this evidence seems to point towards Zachary. The problem is that he's now staying with Christine's parents, who are taking care of him and their grandchild.
We didn't tell Deborah or her husband that Zach was a suspect at that point because we needed them to not show any emotion when they were giving him a ride down to the station to meet us.
He was nervous because he was called down for questioning more than anybody. And he's like, I don't know, how they can think that I can do that.
When Zachary is questioned this time, he appears nothing like the grieving ex-boyfriend.
He first says, I already talked to you, why do I have to talk to you again? He seems a little bit teed off that he's being interviewed once again.
You know what, Zach?
Zach?
And then I stopped him and told him that, you know, we have ways of finding out where you were, and we can prove where you were.
And we know that you're hiding some stuff from us.
And he's like, how do you know? So we finally told him that
We did some stuff with your cell phone. We know where you were at certain times.
your phone shows us exactly where you are. You're lying to us.
Are you accusing me of killing her?
Zach, this is the time, because the tower shows.
When detectives accuse Zachary of killing Christine, he denies it.
I didn't do nothing.
Zach.
I can't believe you would accuse me of this.
Zach, the evidence is there, Zach.
He thought that his son was an alibi, you know, saying, if I were a killer, would I put my son in the car and take him with us?
So where was my son at this whole time? What was I doing?
Zach, that doesn't matter, Zach.
It do matter.
No, it doesn't.
Shit matters.
Zach, what matters is where you were.
I just brought him back to the point of, this isn't about your son. This is what you did to Christine.
Zach,
no DNA, no.
We have. Zach,
so I was talking to her mom while I was killing her. That's what you're telling me.
Zach, you killed her and you dumped her in Minneapolis.
After endless rounds of questions, Zachary finally realizes he's backed into a corner.
He comes up with his version of the truth. He says that he went to the Christmas party with his child, and once he got back, he wondered where Christine was.
I came home. I found her dead in the closet.
He got scared, thinking people might blame him for her death. So he put her in her car and left his child in his apartment.
Zachary says he drove Christine's body to Minneapolis because that city has a higher murder rate.
Here we have Zachary saying, I just thought she'd get folded into all of them and that I'd get away with it.
He said that somebody else must have come along and burned her because he would never do that to her.
So how do you get back then?
He says he then headed back to St. Paul on foot, eventually catching a bus.
He talked about how it was such a heroic thing for him to walk back. He had to walk along the freeway for a bit because that was the only way to get across the river.
He says, I come home and I find Christine dead in the closet. I put her in the car. I drive the car to Minneapolis. He expects cops to believe this. It's ludicrous.
Zach, you don't find people dead in your closet. Okay, it just doesn't happen like that.
Investigators piece together their own scenario of what happened that fateful day.
I think Christine's running late when she dropped Marcella off, and Zachary's sitting in his apartment. He's thinking that she doesn't love me, she doesn't care about me. So when she gets there, he begins to argue with her about that.
You're always with your boyfriend. You're never here.
And my guess is she told him, forget it, give me the baby, I'm out of here. And he wasn't gonna have it. He lost his temper. He starts to hit her. And then chokes her to death. Once he returns, it's dark, so he takes her out to her car, comes back in, grabs a couple of phone books to use as kindling to start the fire, and drives her to Minneapolis.
Most killers, you know, they don't plan anything after the murder. They plan everything up to the murder and nothing afterwards. And sure enough, we got a guy who, in a fit of rage, kills his ex-girlfriend, and then he doesn't know what to do with the body. So he decides, I'll burn it.
Despite Zachary's failure to take full responsibility, police know they have enough evidence to arrest and charge him with first-degree murder.
I always kind of felt like Zach had something to do with it. I know he wanted her back, and I know that she wasn't going back. And I think that he probably felt like, if I can't have her, nobody can.
It made me furious that after all that we did to include him in our family, to accept him, even after Christine became pregnant, it was sickening that he could do that to her and to us.
Zachary Otis Matthews is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. first-degree domestic abuse murder, second-degree intentional murder, and interference with a dead body. In October 2008, Zachary Matthews is convicted on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. Christine's parents assume responsibility for raising her child.
When you think about the definition of what a friend is and what a friend should be, like, that was Christine. Kind, always there if you ever needed her for anything. I just miss her smiling face. Her smile lit up the room.
I always think, what would have happened? Where could we have been now? For a while, it ate me up inside, knowing that I got to meet an angel for 11 days, and then they're gone.
I miss having my baby sister. I miss the conversations. I miss that she was our light. She was, no matter what, she was the one that held our family together. I think the biggest thing I miss is her personality and just her heart.
Christmas was the holiday for me. I mean, we would deck the whole house out. Now it's more a forced celebration for me, and I do it so that her son can understand that this is important, and these are traditions that his mother would have liked him to continue with. But yeah, Christmas is difficult. This year was the first year I made the Christmas mice all on my own, and they turned out really cute, and everybody loved them.
For months, the unmade cookies sat on Deborah's kitchen counter as a reminder of the night Christine died.
I think it was right around March, and I said, I'm either gonna make them or I'm just gonna put them away. So in March, I put those cookie ingredients away.